It was a very public job interview today for the finalists to lead Colorado's third largest school district. Dougco Schools is in the national spotlight from Fox News to the New York Times as the center of what's become a left-right battle over the future of education. Erin Kane's one finalist. She's the former interim superintendent for the district, currently the leader of the charter school American Academy. She's advocated that charter schools should be allowed to arm their teachers. But today, she said she does not want Dougco teachers carrying guns in the classroom. The second finalist, Danny Windsor, is executive director of schools for the Parker region of the district. He also oversees the district's choice programming department, which helps get parents into charters and magnet schools and homeschooling. Windsor said that the focus should be on highlighting student success, and that should be everybody's goal. The school board interviewed both finalists for the vacant position in an open board session today. The position was made vacant when the conservative board majority fired the previous superintendent, Corey Wise, without cause last month. Both candidates today discussed how they intend to keep politics out of decision-making.
I want to hear every good idea. I want to listen to every good idea. I don't put a political lens on any of it. I want to hear good ideas for our kids here in Douglas County, and I'm always willing to change my mind.
Affiliations, all those other things, it distracts us from what we're trying to focus on. If we keep engaging in every single response that is there, we will never solve a single thing, which means we will never have a positive impact on kids.
The public is invited to provide feedback on the finalists through an online form that's open till next Tuesday at noon. Board plans to make an offer to one of those two on March 22nd. So mistakes happen. How they're handled can have some real consequences. New report out today shows that Colorado's 64 counties made mistakes when issuing SNAP benefits, food stamps. Mistakes that ultimately tended to benefit the people receiving the benefits. Well, till they're told to pay it back. Marshall Zellinger explains.
I am weird. I find grocery shopping relaxing, especially this aisle. But for more than 250,000 households in the state, grocery shopping is more stressful based on how much money is on their government-issued food stamp card.
Its entire purpose is to help families, low-income families, purchase healthy food.
Liz Riley Sanders is with the Colorado Center for Law and Policy, which just released a report on issues it found with the state's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
The vast majority of overpayment claims are a result of agency error.
In Colorado, each county is responsible for the SNAP benefits. In January, all counties combined issued more than $126 million in SNAP benefits. So who's eligible? People making less than 200% of the federal poverty level. For a household of 4, that's a monthly income of $4,400. The SNAP benefit would be up to $835. For a household of 6, a monthly income of about $6,000, with a SNAP benefit of almost $1,200. And this report found Colorado counties are to blame for overpayments 2/3 of the time.
In one particular case, agency error resulted in over $3,000 that was overissued to a beneficiary, and they had to ultimately pay that back.
Yeah, even if the recipient does not know they got more than they were supposed to, they have to pay back up to a year's worth of overpayment after it's discovered.
There should be some sort of policy that does not penalize beneficiaries for the government making a mistake on their benefits. One of the things that we're calling for is that the state actually does further investigation to get to the bottom of what is causing this high rate of agency error.
The report also spells out issues with SNAP beneficiaries in court, confusing processes, not enough legal help. Often, according to the report, the county wins because the beneficiaries may not be prepared with the best process. So I find out, okay, let's say you did get overpayment. How do you pay it back? Well, you could just pay it back lump sum, which probably is not going to happen. It's possible you can negotiate with the county, or they start deducting from your SNAP card no more than 10% at a time. So the benefit you need starts to go away slowly.
I feel like this is the kind of situation where, like, you report on it and then state legislators come in and they're like, that's jacked up, we'll fix it.
It's possible, but a lot of this is also intertwined with federal law, or federal rules at least, and it's required federally, I'm told, that you have to pay back the overpayments. There are limitations on how far back the state can go to get that money, but this is just a cursory look at this report. I want to dig into, like, how are these counties getting it wrong? Which counties are the worst? So this is not the last you're going to hear about this.
All right, get after it, Marshall. Thank you. An anti-vaccine mandate trucker convoy rolled out of Colorado this afternoon, headed east, going to Washington, as those pandemic mandates drop left and right across the country. But they're still going. The group got some headliners for their event, their rally. They were addressed last weekend and then today by 3 of the Republican candidates for governor, Heidi Ganahl, Danielle Neuschwanger, and Greg Lopez. It is not clear how many of the truckers actually plan to stay with the convoy beyond today's rally and rollout, how many are actually going to Washington. So there are several convoys all headed to D.C. from different points around the country. They were inspired by the Canadian truck protests that ended with arrests. One convoy from California was planning to come through Colorado on the way, but that one disbanded when only 5 trucks remained. So Colorado's COVID news today is not good. It is great. In the last 24 hours, the state's reported just 111 new cases. That's one of the lowest one-day totals since the pandemic began. We know the week-to-week trends give us a more balanced picture, and when you look at that, oh, that looks solid too. Our 7-day average for case counts is 467 new cases a day, lowest it's been since mid-July. We haven't looked at hospitalizations in a while, and that's because the pressure is really off. 283 people currently hospitalized have been diagnosed with COVID. We know from Omicron that many, or not most of them, if not most of them, are in the hospital for something else originally. And at the rate we're going, in the next week or so, we'll have our lowest COVID hospitalization since 2020. The state's attorney general is joining an investigation into TikTok because of what the app's doing to kids' mental health. But is that really the most effective strategy to protect children? Anusha Roy takes a look.
The number of Colorado teens using TikTok is on the Attorney General's mind.
It's a crisis for teen mental health.
He has a couple of goals by joining a national investigation.
Kids are on social media platforms. They may not realize it, but information is being suggested to them based on algorithms. Whether those algorithms keep in mind their mental health is a big deal, because if they don't, you can have kids who are, let's say, looking at some videos about maybe how they could lose weight. And then all of a sudden they're getting suggested to them videos about bulimia or self-harm.
And to protect the kids, the Attorney General is going after the company.
We can resolve this through a collaborative process. Alternatively, we could go to court.
If TikTok does not filter content based on age, the Attorney General said his next step is new legislation.
I'm not particularly sure what kind of outcomes we're really looking for. I think that this isn't necessarily even going to be a slap on the wrist. I think maybe it's a warning.
Professor Samuel Jay is with MSU Denver.
I don't mean to be cynical, but I think I am.
He said laws are trying to catch up, but don't develop anywhere near as fast as apps do.
Some of the FCC regulations and FCC changes that have been made, a couple of major ones over the last 25, 30 years, they've both really been catching up to a decade's worth of technological changes when it comes to communication.
The reality is our laws have not been fully tested in the digital age to see if they are effective and can protect our kids.
At the end of the day, these companies are for-profit companies. They have one goal, and that's to make money. And how do you make money? You keep people on that platform. And so what are some other things that we could be doing as a society, or as societies, to prepare ourselves, our kids?
That's where Dr. Jody Thomas, a child psychologist, steps in.
Literally designed to be addictive. Right? Anyone who's got on it, we just another one and another one. And so we have just the exhaustion factor of, we have kids with their not fully developed frontal lobe and what we call executive skills, that they are more prone to this.
So Dr. Thomas said that the debate over media impacts on kids is not new, right? But the game has totally changed with all of this tech, and it's so much more than just TikTok. We were talking about other social media platforms too. So she did say that when you're talking to your kids, just consider being respectful, how smart they are. She said give them data on the teens and anxiety from social media. TikTok did release a statement saying that they care deeply about building an experience that helps to protect the support and well-being of the community, and appreciate that the state attorney generals are focusing on the safety of younger users. Kyle, we asked them specifically about those concerns that we heard today, but so far they have not written back to us.
I feel like some of this minutia seems like court of public opinion stuff, like shame TikTok into making changes. Like if this actually gets to court, what would they have to prove to win? Yeah, so the Attorney General said that the burden of proof would be that TikTok was harming people when they had alternatives but chose not to use them. The other thing he's also looking at is that the Colorado Consumer Protection Act, and so that is holding businesses to a certain set of rules if they've got Colorado customers, and that is regardless of where the business is, their headquarters are. Anusha Roy reporting. Thank you, Anusha. For the first time, a former CU professor is accused of committing crimes connected to the January 6th insurrection and his attempt to overthrow a Democratic election. This week, she heckled the president as he talked about helping veterans exposed to toxins. Today, she voted against helping veterans exposed to toxins. From a tent to 4 walls and a roof.
It's a good feeling just to sit here in something clean and nice.
One Coloradan's path out of homelessness. Next.
Clouds are increasing this evening ahead of a storm system that will be here late Friday. But look at the numbers ahead of the storm. 73 in Denver, 83 in Lamar. We're typically in the low 50s this time of year. A lot of high and mid-level clouds coming in ahead of this California storm, which will be here in 24 hours. Advisories for snow in the high country. Advisories for high fire danger on the eastern plains tomorrow. Temperatures will come down even with increasing clouds. We have a dry day tomorrow. Things start to change by tomorrow night into Saturday morning. And so here's your snow accumulation in the mountains. Could be looking at about 3 to 6 inches of snow in 24 hours. Partly cloudy and 65 today. Colder with snow showers for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's high 41, Sunday's high only 30.
This week, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert heckled President Joe Biden during his State of the Union address as Biden was speaking about helping veterans exposed to toxins. Today, Congresswoman Boebert voted against helping veterans exposed to toxins. The bill to expand health care for vets harmed by burn pits got bipartisan support as it passed the House. Boebert voted against it, along with fellow Republicans Ken Buck and Doug Lamborn. Biden brought this up as a priority in his State of the Union when Boebert interrupted.
Many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world, never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden.
Boebert, Buck, and Lamborn have not yet responded to our request for comment on why they voted against the expanded health coverage for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. Boebert's outburst, if it wasn't clear, was about the 13 U.S. service members who died in an attack in Afghanistan during the U.S. withdrawal. The House committee investigating the January 6 insurrection says it believes that CU's former visiting conservative scholar John Eastman committed crimes when he wrote a memo outlining how Republicans could stage a coup and keep President Trump in power. This is the first time that committee's laid out accusations of actual criminal activity in writing. January 6th committee submitted a court filing last night saying it believes that Professor Eastman and President Trump committed crimes. Eastman had a central role in trying to overturn the presidential election, writing the Trump team outline on how you could overthrow a Democratic election if you wanted. Eastman was interviewed by congressional investigators but reportedly pleaded the fifth. The panel then subpoenaed his records, including emails from his time working with President Trump to overturn the election. Eastman's tried to block the release of those emails, saying it's attorney-client privilege. That's what led the committee to file a motion in court yesterday saying communications between the attorneys and clients are not confidential if they're talking about doing crimes. Committee wrote in its filing, the facts we've gathered strongly suggest that Dr. Eastman's emails may show he helped Donald Trump advance a corrupt scheme to obstruct the counting of electoral college ballots and a conspiracy to impede the transfer of power. Arapahoe County elections would like Arapahoe County's input on where to put vote centers for the November election. They're going to have 32 vote centers this year, 3 more than last time around. County wants to know where voters think they should go. They opened public comment on that today, and they'll stay open through the beginning of May. If you think your neighborhood needs one, get loud about it. There's a link to share your thoughts on 9news.com. We get a lot of questions about whether Denver's safe outdoor space programs, sanctioned campsites, actually work.
I'm going to try not to cry because it makes me so happy, but he is in permanent supportive housing right now.
So let's talk about a success story next. Not a photo from today, but it certainly felt like it, much like spring. So everybody deserves a home, a place to call your own, to have a sense of safety, security. You'll hear critics of Denver's sanctioned camping sites for the homeless say that those campsites safe outdoor spaces don't actually help people get into housing. Perhaps they'd like to meet Alan.
If you hear me talking about safe outdoor space, you'll probably always hear me talking about that magic that happens in here. My name is Kuika Montoya, and I am the Director of Safe Outdoor Spaces. We're an alternative to unsheltered homelessness. Ultimately, what we're trying to get folks to is stable housing.
I paid 3 months rent so far.
Alan, oh man, Alan was the first person, one of the first people I met doing street outreach.
I had an apartment for 15 years. A company bought the building and kicked us all out. I just happened to meet Kuika the day before I decided to pack up and get out.
Yes, he moved into the SOS on the first day. He was one of our first SOS residents.
It was kind of an adventure to go through the tent ordeal, but it was a little chilly too.
I'm going to try not to cry because it makes me so happy, but he is in permanent supportive housing right now.
It's a place where you can sleep at night, you can cook your dinner, you can relax, watch TV, have your guests come over. It's a good feeling just to sit here in something clean and nice. And
hey, Gary.
It's not everybody is in the SOS camp because they're worthless people on the streets. They're very helpful people, and just like me, I got stuck in a situation where I couldn't do anything about it, so I took the next best step and I used what utensils were provided for me so I could get back to where I wanted to be.
You know, it's just really exciting to be able to see somebody, you know, experiencing an unimaginable experience of homelessness and get to see that joy come back in their eyes, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you know, it makes you feel like a person again.
Alan also helped build the safe outdoor spaces. We've showed you when one of these things goes up, some neighbors usually sue over it or threaten to sue, and then more neighbors show up to volunteer, to donate time or meals. If you're interested in volunteering, just look for this story on 9news.com. To sue, you should probably call a lawyer. It's a sign that anti-war sentiment is present around here in a very Colorado way. That and your feedback next. It's a sign. Very Colorado way to protest the war in Ukraine. Putin skis and jeans, says the sign in Boulder near Pine and 18th. Taylor spotted this for us. I'm not really certain that a billionaire tyrant who's waging war in Europe is concerned about signage in Boulder, but it never hurts to try and get under his skin. Send us the signs you see around town, whether they're anti-war commentary or something else. Take a picture and email it to next@9news.com or give us a shout on Twitter with the hashtag HeyNext. A lot of feedback tonight about that SNAP food benefit story and the idea that beneficiaries are being forced to pay back overages that were no mistake of their own. Via text we heard tonight, SNAP story really bothers me. Why don't they make the person that made the mistake pay it back? Maybe they'll pay attention then. And Cynthia wrote, it's appalling that innocent people have to pay for the mistakes of incompetent workers. And she writes specifically of our Marshall Zellinger here. You do such a great job on these kinds of stories that require the work and research that others won't do. Marshall is on this one. Trust you me. See you next time.